Hello, Kona.
Hello.
Brian with DGN here. I asked you this question at Waco. Hadn't talked to you in a long time when I asked you the question. Haven't talked to you really since Waco.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. Getting better. I feel like I'm finally understanding my discs and getting really comfortable. Obviously, we have the Kansas winds, but I finally have those discs in my bag that I can completely trust in the wind. And yeah, just rolling with it and, dealing with all the anxiety in life, but also, enjoying the road with Colton. It's been good.
And it seems like Emporia takes such good care of the DD players specifically.
Sheesh.
And this is your first year, with DD. How has this experience been for you?
Man, it's been crazy. I came to Glassblown Open, I believe, in maybe 2016, 2017 as an amateur and got that first taste of just how they really open their arms to, the competitors, am or pro, and just that experience of like winning the card or something, and you got to go to the pro shop and get a disc or something. I wasn't sponsored by them, but it was just like that experience of like, you did great, and it's just, showing up to the course, they have like a giant judge on hole one's fairway, and it's just, they go over the top, and I haven't really experienced any other tournament quite like that.
So you are starting to heat up a little bit. You're, like you said, you're figuring out your disc, you're figuring out your game again. Top 10 at the major, at Champions Cup. What have you been working on the most this season?
More than anything, it's finding those slots in my bag that I was missing, whether it be a fairway driver that needs a little bit more stability, but it's always that putt we always talk about, and I'm really liking the straddle putt. It keeps me centered. I don't have to really focus too much, but man, you know how much I'd love to have that Kristen Tatar putt, just that nice, super spinny. It's something I'm always going to be working towards. I'm asking around for help from different pros to get, I like the way that they have their spin. Can you help me figure that out? Because mentally, like, I love critiquing form. Like, that's how I got my backhand form, was I would just watch Paul Macbeth and I could figure that out. But something for me mentally over these last few years has been the putt. Like, I can watch, I can see it, I know what I need to do, but mentally, I just have this weird block, and I'll watch a video thinking I'm doing one thing, and then I'm doing a completely different one. So it's just a mental thing that I'm always working to figure out, but I think that's what always keeps me coming back, is that I need to work on something, and I know I'm this close.
Absolutely. And with that said, you're working so hard on your putt, you're working so hard on the rest of your game. You come out here in Emporia to this massive course, Jones Supreme, 9,400 feet. You have the distance necessary to keep up with anyone who's gunning for the win here. What is it going to take for you this week?
Yeah, I actually played a practice round with Valerie yesterday, a mic'd up round on Dynamic Disc YouTube channel. Check it out. Little plug. And I just feel like I'm playing that course really well, plays my game, I throw far, and I'm, leaning on my sheriffs and my getaways a ton, and but you know what, it's going to get so windy, and there's so much OB out there that I think I might be disking down from like a 12 speed to a 9 speed to simply stay in the fairway, because I know, angle control is going to be very important in those windy situations. Thank
you very much, Kona, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Hey, Kona. Hayden with the PDGA. We're like a quarter away through the season. What is your assessment, not just in your personal game, but maybe as just a fan of disc golf, of what we're seeing week in and week out?
We watched the live coverage last weekend at the Jonesboro Open of the MPO, and we were blown away. I think the Disc Golf Network did a great job. I believe it was Terry, right? Terry and Nate Doss, yes. And they did a great job with just like the action. It was like 1 second you think in and Burr is gonna win, and then all of a second it's like, oh, it's Kevin Jones, and then leading down to it, obviously we saw that Calvin end up taking it. And I think the sport's getting just more and more exciting with all the competitors who are bringing it to the table.
Do you feel the same amount of pressure week in and week out when you start a tournament, just knowing that anybody can jump up and be right there in contention, or just how deep the field has become?
Definitely, and we're seeing bigger fields in the FPO division, which is just amazing to see, but it's not easy. It wasn't easy before, but it's not getting any easier to cash in our division, and some people who are maybe cashing every single weekend are now kind of fighting for that last cash, and it's just incredible to see the competitors just raise their games. But it's been tough with us going week to week, and then all of a sudden we're playing a 4-day event and we only have like 3 days to practice. So I think a lot of us are feeling not only that mental fatigue, but also that physical fatigue. I've had a lot of people tell me they're not practicing today simply because they're just exhausted.
Yeah, that was my next question. How do you manage a stretch like this? I know we've got a couple of weeks off maybe after this, but I mean, how do you manage, playing and resting right now?
Yeah, you just got to have that life is short mentality and just send it, I mean, obviously we have our Disc Golf Strong, Seth Munsey, who's been, very viable for our, Disc Golf Pro Tour and making sure the athletes are healthy and staying, loose, but we've been getting up at 6 a.m. for the last 3 weeks. I think we've had one off day and, just to get practice rounds in, and I tee off early, so getting ready for those rounds, make sure we're eating, and it's been exhausting to say the least. Naps are important.
Random question. What do you eat for breakfast?
We actually eat the same thing every single day. I get up and cook eggs for both of us, sausage every day, some fruit, and always some sort of like an almond or a cashew. That's the same thing every single day, so it doesn't mess with us.
Nice. We've talked a lot about the growth of the women's game, USWDGC hitting record numbers. Actually, the tournament director of this event, Jackie Morris, is probably the 5th female tournament director at the Elite Series or major level, first since 2007. What does that mean to see a woman in charge?
That just goes to show where our sport is pushing. We're getting those women added to our division, but also we're seeing those women, take control, like Jackie. That's amazing to see. I believe I watched Doug's live conference earlier, and she's very organized and she's very motivated, and I'm just excited to see what else she can do for our sport.
Hey, Kona, Terry with Disc Golf Network, and I'll admit this is entirely selfish. We just heard you talking about last weekend's broadcast, but I want to turn that into the question of, in watching that, I know you were watching the MPO side, but what's something either I should know as a commentator or the world should know that we're not necessarily seeing and you want it relayed to the rest of the world from a live perspective? We're a few thousand miles from you in Bend last weekend. What's something that we should know moving forward?
I mean, like I said, the coverage that you and Nate did was awesome. Like I said, it was just like you were bouncing back and forth between so many different people of winning, and I think that's what really built up the action and also just the intensity of, the event. But I mean, I think it's tough sometimes when a commentator maybe hasn't seen like the course itself. Like I know, I love Christine, I'm not throwing under the bus, but sometimes she hasn't played some of these courses, so she doesn't maybe know, oh, well, this hole is like this or whatever. But I guess maybe just getting that insight from the players, like, hey, beforehand, what does that hole actually play like? Or, what does that do for the FPO field? And then bringing it back into the live broadcast. But building up that intensity during that round and making it seem like there's several different people is super important. I think that needs to be utilized more in the FPO division, because I understand Kristen Tatar was leading by so many, but we still have to make it to where people can still watch and still feel some sort of excitement, even if she is winning by that much.
Yeah, and it was an incredible performance by her, and that's exactly what we started to look into as well. Who else is going to make a push? If she does run off, well, then there's still obviously other podium spots and a lot of things that go along with that. So here's what I'll leave you with. If you ever have any additional insight you'd like to share with myself or anyone in the booth, you along with all the other players always have an open line of communication. We certainly would welcome and invite it, because that hopefully makes us tell the story a little bit better from a few thousand miles away. So Kona Panis,
thank you.
We wish you the best of luck. Go ahead.
1,000 rated on last week, for sure.
Well, we'll take it. Well, hope you have some 1,000 rated rounds this weekend. Kona Panis, everyone, best of luck.
Thank you.